An asylum seeker, sex offender and alleged acid attacker is on the run. He failed the asylum process twice and manufactured his asylum claim in Britain by pretending to be Christian. A serving minister has stood down because of threats from Islamists. Turkey, a leading holiday destination and a NATO ally, might now be classed as a safe country, so we couldn't deport Turkish economic migrants there. Everything seems broken, but I want answers, and I want you to get answers. So I spoke to former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick, who voted against the Rwanda bill because he didn't think it was strong enough. And I started by asking him, if we do catch Abdul Azidi, a convicted sex offender who allegedly doused a woman and children in acid, and then if he's found guilty, of course, could we actually deport him?
Well, good evening, Patrick. I think this terrible case just highlights how important it is to have a fully functioning, robust Rwanda policy so that if somebody arrives, they're actually detained, not allowed to abscond and live in our country for months or years, and are swiftly removed to a safe third country like Rwanda. The problem with the present situation, and indeed the weak version of Rwanda the government's pursuing, is that people are able to make these spurious claims and drag out their removal for many years. Of course, I hope that this individual, if they are responsible for this terrible crime, is convicted, serves time in jail, and then is removed. But their home country, we're told, is Afghanistan, and so that will be difficult, as you say, although there are some countries that are removing people back to Afghanistan, or at least exploring it. And I think many people would take the view that somebody who had committed such a serious crime as this individual is now alleged to have done, deserve to be sent back home, wherever that is.
So to be clear, we would have a problem sending him or others like him to Afghanistan?
If he's found guilty of this very serious crime, then, as I say, he will spend time in prison and off our streets, and then there will be a process to try to remove him. At the present time, we wouldn't send somebody to Afghanistan, but that might change in the years ahead when perhaps he served a prolonged sentence in prison for what he appears to have done or is alleged to have done. But I think the lesson of this incident is that we mustn't allow people like him just to break into our country and then to be able to live here for years whilst pursuing endless claims. This is the definition of a merry-go-round of spurious claims and counterclaims. This is exactly what Suella Braverman and I set out to stop. This is what the Rwanda policy is supposed to do. Unfortunately, the government has chosen the weaker version of that policy, where individuals can make claims. As you know, I strongly, vehemently disagreed with that and encouraged them to change tack. They haven't done that yet. I hope perhaps that one day they will, because we have to stop this. We can't allow individuals to be frustrating our system with grotesque and absurd claims, such as somebody has converted to Christianity, which probably isn't correct, and by doing so prevent their removal. We've got to get to a simple system where people come here illegally, are detained and swiftly removed. That's what I've always advocated.
Yeah, a lot of people agree with that, but I mean, it is absolutely astonishing, isn't it, that as it currently stands, this individual, if indeed he goes on to be proven guilty, etc., probably won't be deported back to Afghanistan, because apparently under our current laws we can't. So we have a merry-go-round of legal challenges being shamelessly gamed by treacherous activists and human rights lawyers. Does Mr Jenrick think the current version, then, of Rishi Sunak's Rwanda bill would do anything to change that?
And let me explain why. Because what we know here from the facts that are available is that Home Office officials, in fairness to them, rejected his claim twice, but that a tribunal judge ultimately was sympathetic to him, despite the fact that he had been convicted of a sexual offence, a serious one, and then granted him asylum or a form of humanitarian protection to remain in the UK. And the form of the Rwanda policy that the government is pursuing enables people to make individual claims and places a lot of store on the same types of people, these tribunal judges, and hopes that they won't be so naive in the future. But I'm afraid the evidence suggests that they are sympathetic towards the asylum seekers, and they often do make errors of judgment, as this may well be. And what I want to see is that whole process cut out. And so if somebody goes into the country, comes here illegally, then they get detained and removed, and this merry-go-round is ended once and for all.
So if we have this situation, again, like the exact situation that we've got now, and the Rwanda bill, as it currently stands, is passed in its current form, clearly there is every chance that that will do nothing to stop that, OK? So today, it emerged that we might not be able to deport anyone to Turkey, where millions of people go on holiday every single year, and it's a NATO ally, by the way, because Home Office officials have decided that it's not a safe country.
Millions of Brits go on holiday to Turkey. We do business there. It's an ally. It's a partner. It's a member of the Council of Europe, a NATO member state. It is a safe country. But we're told today that the Home Office have decided not to deem it as such in law. That's very disappointing, if that's correct. I initiated negotiations with the Turkish government in the summer of last year and had very productive conversations about how we can get illegal migrants from Turkey back home and how we can work together to tackle organised immigration crime, much of which stems from Turkey because the boats and the engines themselves that are used in the channel are either manufactured there or passed through Turkey into Europe. So it's a crucial part of the chain behind this whole issue. What seems to have happened is that the Home Office have said that whilst it might be generally safe, there are sufficient instances of persecution or human rights abuse in Turkey for us not to be able to deem the entire country to be safe. That means that the process will be far more bureaucratic, it will be much easier to appeal, and this, as you said earlier, merry-go-round of claims will be able to continue. That's very worrying because we're seeing a great increase in the number of essentially economic migrants from Turkey getting into small boats and coming to the UK in search of a better life. That's got to stop. We've got to be able to detain and remove those people as quickly as possible. I don't know the full detail behind what's happened here, but I would strongly urge the Home Secretary to change back. When officials presented me and Suella Braverman with similarly cautious advice with respect to India, we overruled them and declared India to be safe. And that enables us now to remove people back to India swiftly. I think James Cleverly has to do the same for Turkey.
That's actually a really big line there, OK? So it appears that our Home Secretary could stop this madness if he wanted to and declare Turkey safe. Is that definitely in his remit, though? That's what I wanted to know.
Absolutely, and as I say, Suella and I did that for India and Georgia and other countries, and so I hope the Home Secretary will take the same robust decision with respect to Turkey, or else I'm afraid we'll find thousands of Turks, as I say, who are mostly economic migrants, coming here on small boats and have no prospect of removing them. And the public will then be left having to pick up the cost of looking after them to the tune of tens or hundreds of millions of pounds for years to come. And that's completely unacceptable.
So, according to the former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick, James Cleverly, our Home Secretary, could step in and overrule this idea that Turkey is an unsafe, in part, country and just run straight over that. Will he? A serving minister quit over Islamist threats as well. Rishi Sunak decided not to even bother speaking about that, nor did Sir Keir Starmer. So I wanted to ask Mr Jenrick if we should be calling this kind of Islamist intimidation out for exactly what it is.
I think we should. It's obviously desperately sad for Mike Freer, who is a superb Member of Parliament, has been a fantastic representative for Finchley and Golders Green and for the British Jewish community, as it's one of the constituencies with the largest number of British Jews in the country, and I will miss him enormously from Parliament. But there have been those who have reacted to this with, to my mind, trite comments like MPs need to be nicer to each other or discourse on social media needs to improve. Those things may be true, but that's not the nub of the issue here. The issue is that someone like Mike Freer and others across the country are victims of virulent anti-British Islamist extremism. We have to call that out. properly diagnose it, and take action against it. Islamism of this kind is a cancer. It's got to be rooted out and destroyed, and you don't even begin to do that until you have an honest conversation about the fact that it exists in our society and that it's threatening people all of the time. It's pervasive and growing, and we've got to tackle it.
Yeah, very strong stuff there from Mr. Jenrick. Look, the Tories are some 20-odd points behind in the polls at the moment. There is no question that these issues have arisen on their watch. But Labour could be in power soon. Where are they on the issues of illegal immigration and Islamism?
Well, I don't think they're anywhere on these issues. That's the sad truth. I think, as you say, one of the most important questions facing the country is how can we control our borders? How can we protect the security of the public? How can we ensure that the pace of change in our country through legal migration isn't too fast? And how do we guard against the most dangerous consequences of mass migration, such as rising extremism and damage to our British way of life? And I hear nothing from the Labour Party on those issues. I would be extremely worried to live under a Labour government for precisely those reasons. The Labour Party would scrap our Rwanda policy, even if it was working and stopping the boats. That's what Yvette Cooper and Keir Starmer have said. And they have said nothing but platitudes and warm words on the issue of extremism. I want to hear them calling out anti-British Islamist extremism and setting out how they would take action to stop it. If they're a serious party of government, that's exactly what they would do.
So, as it stands, we will struggle to deport a two-time failed asylum seeker who lied about his religion, committed a sex crime and then allegedly doused a woman and children with acid. Surely, everybody can see that that's madness and it needs changing. When it comes to Turkey as a safe country, our Home Secretary can apparently decide that for himself. So will he? Why didn't he overrule Home Office officials? The big question to answer there for James Cleverly. Islamism is a cancer in our society that needs to be eradicated, but it looks as though the party that let it fester are about to be voted out, and a party that doesn't seem to care about it are going to be voted in. Spare a thought for Britain, won't you?